Greetings.
Can you tell me more?
The Seekers of Truth were born from the original Inquisition. Seekers stood above the Templars, watching over them but also investigating magical. We were meant to be incorruptible, above reproach. How seldom does reality match the ideal?
Why did your order turn against them?
We originally united with the Chantry through a treaty that stated they would keep mages under control. It was felt Most Holy had tacitly allowed the Circle of Magi to vote on its independence, thus the Seekers saw themselves as justified, and they led the Templars into a war of righteousness.
You sound like you disagree.
We knew what was happening at Kirkwall, where the Mage Rebellion began. We looked into reports of Knight Commander Meredith's harsh treatment of her charges, but we found so many shocking cases of magical corruption, it was decided if we'd been there when it happened, if we'd looked harder at the root causes.
You're right. Something should have been.
When faced with a problem, the Seekers would close. We would find an answer, but only once we felt we weren't being coerced. The moment the mages voted for independence, our response was predictable. It was difficult to watch.
But what are?
Those who know anything of us think we are Templars. We do not use lyrium, however. Our abilities are different. We disciplined the Templars and were accountable only to the Divine. And not even her, truthfully.
So, this...
No, the Order didn't. The Templars have always feared us. When a Seeker arrived at a circle, they knew that kind of power is troubling. You begin to think you are the only one who can solve the world. If you don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. If someone insists it does, they are the blind ones.
You mentioned that Seekers have different...
Entirely. A Templar's abilities come from... Ours come from ritual and many years. We cannot be possessed by demons and are immune to mind control. Useful, considering our role. Seekers can gain other gifts, though that depends on the individual.
What kind of gifts?
I can set delirium within a person's blood aflame. Both mages and Templars bend before my will. Some Seekers use it to interrogate, others simply to paralyze. Once there was a Seeker who could use it to kill. That particular gift is considered rare.
How does someone be...
Most Seekers begin training in their youth. I was much older, an exception. We train rigorously for years. Our bodies and minds must be elastic to undergo the vigil, and most fail even then.
Is the vigil...
It is the rite every Seeker must go through in order to... A full year of fasting, prayer, and separation from all distractions. We empty ourselves of all emotion, focusing only... And the moment it finally ends, it's wonderful. Faith realized. I cannot put it into words.
Was it some kind of...
I don't fully understand. If the vigil was not so arduous, I'd say more. What if mages never needed to fear possession by demons? I'm told it is impossible, however. I suppose I'll never know the truth of it now.
I've no...
Heaven has been filled with silence. I knew them.
These truths and tell Mother yourself as much as need something?
I've read your tale.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead. Need something?
Greetings.
We'll talk later.
How do you think they'll close that huge hole in the sky?
There were so many questions surrounding Farria's death. Did he think we wouldn't notice? He's killed Farria, one of my best agents, and knows where the others are. You know what must be done. Make it clean. Painless if you can. We were friends once.
It will be done.
I'm sorry. Trust me. Everything. Now, if you're happy, I have more. Reports of fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will come... Later, then. I'm listening.
Let's talk about you.
Me?
What did you do before you worked?
I was a bard, an Orlesian spy. For a time, I also served as small cloister. After the Blight, the Divine called on me to oversee her personal network.
Can you teach me to be a bard?
Being a bard is so much more than... It involves a keen understanding of politics, the ebb and flow of influence, the great game. The bard's is an intricate dance where a smile can be sharper than any... The best way to learn is to immerse. Perhaps when this is all over, I'll teach you.
Bards tell tales.
There are plenty of tales in the library. Perhaps you should look for them there.
I should leave you...
We can always... Did you need something?
Why do you want me to seek out the rebel mages? Why do you care?
I've known mages. And yet I'm free and they're not. It's not right.
You seem to know a great...
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
They say you spent some time in Lothering.
We spoke a few times. I seldom left the Chantry, and we never became more than casual acquaintances. I saw more of the Hawk twins. Bethany in particular. She would spend time in meditation at the Chantry, and she seemed to like my stories. The other one, the young man, he was a little surly. I did encounter the champion again later in Kirkwall. Those were terrible times.
Was this when the Chantry was destroyed?
No, that happened later. But even then, the news coming out of Kirkwall was disheartening. There were some in Val Royeaux who wanted the Divine to declare an exalted march on Kirkwall. I guess it didn't matter in the end.
You have a history with the Warden who ended the Blight, don't you?
She's always in my thoughts. Even when we're far apart. My love is on a quest of her own. When the Inquisition has no further need of me, I will join her. For good this time. I have lost enough. I will not lose her as well.
You seem to know Joseph.
I met her a long time ago, but we didn't become good friends until years later. After I just returned to Val Royeaux, and she welcomed me back by... She was the Antivan ambassador. The ball was... alright. We've been friends ever since.
What do you...
It's not a real party until someone's small clothes are pinned. And that's all I'm saying about it.
We can continue.
You know where...
It's good you've returned. We heard of your encounter.
You heard?
My agents in the city sent word ahead, of course.
It's a shame the Templars have abandoned their senses, as well as the capital.
At least we know how to approach the mages and Templars now.
Do we? Lord Seeker Lucius is not the man I remember.
True, he has taken the Order somewhere, but to do what? My reports have been very odd.
We must look into it. I'm certain not everyone in the Order will support the Lord Seeker.
Or the Herald could simply go to meet the mages in Redcliffe instead.
You think the Mage Rebellion is more united? It could be 10 times worse.
Or you could stop bickering and make a decision.
I agree.
We shouldn't discount Redcliffe. The mages may be worth the risk.
They are powerful, Ambassador, but more desperate than you realize.
So it'll be dangerous. I've been in danger since I walked out of the Fade.
If some among the rebel mages were responsible for what happened at the Conclave...
The same could be said about the Templars.
True enough. Right now, I'm not certain we have enough influence to approach the Order safely.
Then the Inquisition needs agents in more places. That's something you can help with.
In the meantime, we should consider other options.
There is one other matter. Several months ago, the Grey Wardens of Ferelden vanished. I sent word to those in Orlais, but they have also disappeared. Ordinarily, I wouldn't even consider the idea they're involved in all this, but the timing is curious.
So you're telling me this because...
The others have disregarded my suspicion. 2 days ago, my agents in the hinterlands heard news of a Grey Warden by the name... If you have the opportunity, please seek him out. Perhaps he can...
And if he can?
Then there may be more going on than we thought.
Come to me, child, and I shall embrace you.
I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
The war benefits no one. It must end, and order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'm not deciding anything.
Actions have consequences, my dear. Do not imagine that yours will... For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in... And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
If that's true, then I'll put it to good use.
I suppose we'll... I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let... Yes?
I'd like to know more about you, Madame.
Whatever would you like to know?
Your accent's not Orlesian.
I am from the Circle, my dear. One's country of origin. But if you must know, I was born in Wycombe in... I was sent to the Ostwick Circle, but I transferred to Monsignor while still an apprentice.
I'm curious how a Circle mage wants...
Nobody winds up at court, my dear. It takes a great deal of effort. I caught the eye of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine, an advantageous connect. When the position of Enchanter to the Imperial Court became vacant, I was able to secure it.
You're married to the Duke?
Of course not, my dear. Don't be... Marriage is the business of alliance and inheritance. I'm Bastien's mistress.
And what does the Duchess de Ghislaine think?
We got along quite well. Duchess Nicoline and I used to host musical salons together. She was a great patron. She passed away from a fever a few years ago, the poor dear.
What duties does a court...
I am tasked with providing assistance to the Empress on arcane matters. Most of my predecessors restricted this to lighting lamps. In such troubled times as these, however, I provide political advice to Her Majesty on the subject of the Mage Rebellion.
Excuse me. I've got a message for the Inquisition, but I'm having a hard time getting anyone to talk to me.
Who are you, soldier?
Cremisius Aclasi with the Bull's Chargers Mercenary Company. We mostly work out of Orlais and Navarra. We've got word of some Tevinter mercenaries gathering out on the Storm Coast. My company commander, Iron Bull, offers the information free of charge. If you'd like to see what the Bull's Chargers can do for the Inquisition, meet us there and watch us work.
What can your bulls charge?
We're loyal, we're tough, and we don't break contracts. Ask around Val Royeaux. We've got references.
What should I know about your
Iron Bull? He's one of those Kunari. He leads from the front. He pays well, and he's a lot smarter than the last bastard I worked for. Best of all, he's professional. We accept contracts with whoever makes the first real offer. You're the first time he's gone out of his way to pick a side.
Why did your commander send us...
Iron Bull wants to work for the Inquisition. He thinks you're doing good work.
I look forward to meeting...
We're the best you'll find. Come to the Storm Coast and you can see...
Apothecary Adon will have more poultices for the injured as soon as possible.
Ah, Lord Trevelyan. May I have a moment?
Yes, Ambassador?
I'd like to discuss your parents.
A little sudden, but it's time someone made an honest man of me.
What? Very amusing. This is serious. I'd like to dispatch a courier asking the bands of House Trevelyan to align themselves with us. What are your thoughts? Should we approach your family for their formal support of the Inquisition?
The bands of Trevelyan never turn down a partner if there's something in it for them. From the way my relatives scramble for status.
That depends. How much... Valroyo has noted your lineage. It gives the Inquisition some legitimacy, although not so much as...
Why not?
You are from Ostwick. Orlesian nobles consider the Free Marches somewhat... quaint.
Orlais has a proper empire. Free Marchers never unite until Darkspawn knock at their door.
No one doubts their ferocity when it happens. Speaking of which, I should thank you for your patience with the simple quarters. The accommodations in Haven are surely rough for someone of your birth.
This can't be what you're accustomed to, Ambassador.
One adjusts. I stay busy. It helps take my mind from our surroundings. And the cold. And the wildlife. And the lack of civilization for miles around. Why anyone lived here before we found Andraste's ashes, I cannot imagine.
Having a few leagues of ice between me and whoever wishes me ill can't hurt.
Do not say that too loudly. Chancellor Roderick is still here. Until next time, my lord.
Good day to you.
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more. Another time.